Mark, the VP role's going to someone else, my boss said bluntly, avoiding my eyes. You're not ready. My name's Caleb Reed, 34 years old, a data analyst at Peak Pulse Analytics in Denver, Colorado. For 5 years, I'd poured my soul into this company, building dashboards, streamlining operations, and training half the team. I'd been the front runner for the VP of Analytics role until I found out my coworker, Derek, had sabotaged me. The real kicker? Learning how he'd done it. What did I do? Let's just say my revenge was calculated, ruthless, and left him speechless. It was mid-October, the Denver skyline crisp against a backdrop of snow-capped Rockies. I'd been acting off for weeks, sensing something wasn't right. I'd always been the go-to guy at Peak Pulse, the one who stayed late at our Lodo office, grabbing beers with the team at Wincoop Brewing after crunching numbers. But lately, my work was being questioned. Reports I'd submitted were missing data. Presentations I'd prepped had errors I'd never made. My boss, Sarah, started giving me sidelong glances in meetings. I'm a data analyst. I spot patterns, and this one screams sabotage. One Friday afternoon, Sarah called me into her office. Derek, my coworker and supposed friend, was already there, leaning back with a smug grin. Caleb, your last quarterly report had gaps, Sarah said. Clients noticed. We can't risk that with the VP role. I knew that report was clean when I sent it. Derek had been my backup, double-checking my work. My gut twisted, but I stayed calm. Understood, I said, nodding once. As I left, Derek's grin widened. That's when I knew. He'd screwed me over. What would you do if someone you trusted stabbed you in the back for a promotion? Yell? Quit? I didn't. I went silent, methodical. Keep listening, because this gets wild. That night, I sat in my Capitol Hill apartment, staring at my laptop. I'd shared everything with Derek, drinks, ideas, even the Wi-Fi password for our office's guest network. We'd started at Peak Pulse the same year, bonded over Rockies games and late-night code debugging. Now he'd thrown me under the bus. I needed proof. I'm a data guy, so I started digging. Our company used a shared cloud drive for reports. I had admin access from a project I'd led last year. Derek didn't know I still had it. I pulled the version history of my quarterly report. Sure enough, someone had edited it after I submitted it, adding errors and deleting key metrics. The user ID? Derek's. But that was just the start. I found an email chain between Derek and a junior analyst, Mia, instructing her to accidentally misfile my client presentation slides. Another email to Sarah flagged concerns about my work, citing mistakes that never happened. He'd been at this for months, planting seeds to make me look incompetent. The final blow? A chat log on our internal Slack, where Derek bragged to Mia about securing the VP spot once I was out of the way. My blood boiled, but I didn't react. Revenge isn't about losing control. It's about owning it. What was my next move? Did I confront Derek? Not yet. I had a better plan. Stay with me, because this is where it gets clever. I'm a data analyst, so I know how to manipulate systems without leaving a trace. For the next 2 weeks, I played the loyal employee. I apologized to Sarah for the mistakes, offered to fix them, even brought donuts to the office to keep up appearances. Meanwhile, I built my trap. Derek was presenting a major client pitch for a $3 million contract in 3 weeks, his big chance to lock in the VP role. He'd been tasked with creating a predictive model for client revenue, using my proprietary code as a base, code I'd never shared but he'd accessed through my unlocked laptop during a team meeting. Sloppy move, Derek. I accessed the cloud drive again and made subtle tweaks to his model. I didn't break it. That'd be too obvious. I adjusted the algorithms to inflate revenue projections by 25%, enough to look optimistic but fail spectacularly when audited. I also planted a backdoor in the code, logging every change to a hidden file only I could access. If Derek tried to fix it, I'd know. Next, I pulled his email drafts. He was pitching himself to Sarah as the future of Peak Pulse, promising to streamline the team by cutting underperformers like me. Perfect. I saved copies of everything. Was I crossing a line? Maybe. But when someone sabotages your career for their own gain, ethics get flexible. What happened next? Keep listening, because the payoff was unreal. The day of Derek's big pitch, I showed up early at our Lodo office, sipping coffee from Denver Biscuit Company like nothing was wrong. Derek strutted in, all confidence, practicing his slides in the conference room. I tipped off our lead client, a sharp exec named Rachel, with an anonymous email. Check the revenue model's assumptions closely. I sent it from a burner account, routing it through a VPN. Rachel was known for shredding weak data. She'd eat Derek alive. As the pitch started, I sat in the back, laptop open, watching. Derek's slides were slick, his voice smooth, but Rachel interrupted halfway. Your revenue projections seem aggressive, she said, frowning. Can you walk us through the model? Derek faltered, stumbling over the math. I tweaked just enough to make his answers sound shaky. Then Rachel dropped the bomb. Our auditors flagged inconsistencies. This model's off by millions. The room went silent. Sarah's face hardened. Derek's smug grin vanished. That's when I made my move. I'd already emailed Sarah and the CFO, anonymously, with a detailed report, screenshots of Derek's Slack chats, email drafts, and the version history showing he'd sabotaged my work. I included a log of his unauthorized access to my code, flagged as a security breach. I framed it as a concerned team member worried about ethical violations. By the time the pitch ended, Sarah's phone was buzzing. She excused herself, face pale, and called Derek out of the room. What happened next? Did I gloat? Nope. I sat back and watched it unfold. Stay with me, because this gets even better. An hour later, Derek was called into HR. I learned later he'd been suspended pending an investigation. The client pulled out of the $3 million deal, citing trust issues. Sarah called an emergency team meeting, her voice tight. We've had a breach of integrity, she said. It's being addressed. Eyes darted to Derek's empty chair. That night, I got a call from Rachel, the client executive. Caleb, your name came up, she said. Our auditors liked your old reports. Want to talk about a consulting gig? I smiled. Sure, but I wasn't done. The board was meeting the following week to finalize the VP role. Using my admin access, I scheduled an email to the board, attaching all my evidence against Derek, plus a new report I'd prepped. A cleaned-up version of his failed model, credited to me with a note about restoring client trust. I sent it from a dummy account, posing as a senior analyst, worried about leadership risks. By Monday, Derek was fired for ethics violations. His name was Mud in Denver's tech scene. 3 months later, I'm sitting in the VP of Analytics office, a corner suite with a view of the Rockies. I took Rachel's consulting gig on the side, doubling my income. Derek's working some entry-level gig in Colorado Springs, his career toast. Sarah apologized for doubting me, but I'm keeping my distance. Trust is earned. Why am I telling you this? Because sometimes justice requires a plan, not a punch. What do you think of my revenge? Drop it in the comments, and if you've got a story, I'm all ears.